As we look ahead to the upcoming Broncos season, there are so many reasons for Broncos fans to be optimistic.
A new coach, a new quarterback, and soon a new owner.
With the Broncos changing hands for the first time in decades, it raises the question, is it time for a new stadium?
Well, tonight, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne takes us 360, in depth on the pros and cons on where Broncos Country stands.
When Broncos president Joe Ellis said this,
it will be the number one decision the new owner will have to make, which is how are we going to proceed long term when it comes to the stadium.
It got Broncos Country fired up. Really fired up. Some fans embracing it, others hating it. Either way, it brings up the question, with the Broncos sale and some amazing offseason acquisitions, is a new stadium next? We're going 360, starting with those who follow the team closely.
I have my two guys. My name is Zach Bai. I'm one half of the show Stokely and Zach on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Zach says a new stadium comes with many perks, including the possibility of that retractable roof and Denver hosting its first ever Super Bowl.
I think it's incredibly reasonable to believe that if the new Broncos owner wants to build a new stadium, not long after it's built, the Broncos would have a Super Bowl.
The league awards you with the Super Bowl. That's part of the deal.
That's economics and marketing expert Darren Dubersmith,
Senior lecturer, Metropolitan State University of Denver.
The price tag of building a new stadium is estimated at $2 billion, and Darren says that's conservative.
The estimates never come in, and you've got all of these environmental inputs with the inflation and the supply chain issues with raw materials.
While many believe a remodel is certainly in order at Empower Field, a new stadium is another story.
It's just not necessary.
Many fans agree.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's a beautiful structure, a beautiful place. My name is Lucia. I'm a Broncos fan.
Lucia's concern, who's footing the bill?
If it's the ownership's money, they can do whatever they want, right? But if it has to come from taxpayers, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we need to have, because it's where is that money going to come from, you know?
I would question the need for a new stadium.
That's planning expert and professor at the University of Denver, Andrew Getz, who works on these issues and says from a taxpayer perspective, there are much bigger priorities.
Right now, we're facing an incredible affordability crisis in terms of housing. There are things that we could do to improve that. There are things we could do to improve our public transit system. The Denver public school system is at a crisis point.
But a new stadium could also generate new revenue.
Hi, my name is Daniela Robles, and I am the manager at Cilantro Denver, located on 17th and Federal. Specialty drinks like the Cantarito, the Sirena, tacos. And if you haven't had a molcajete, you have to come in and try that.
Cilantro opened its stores across the street from Mile High 3 years ago, survived the pandemic, and would likely expand if a new stadium were built.
It'd be like a dream for us as a business. I think it would be great for the neighborhood. I can see a pretty big impact for our business here at Cilantro. We've even thought about doing a rooftop.
A new stadium might also spur condo, retail, and restaurant development around the stadium, something the city has talked about but never capitalized on.
You see some of these they're almost like villages.
A 91-acre campus
built around these stadiums. It's a sprawling layout, not just to watch football and stand in a parking lot and tailgate. It's just more than that in 2022.
Fans like Jesse Leyva favor that.
New changes, new looks, new everything modern. I always love that.
There is certainly a risk in some markets of not funding stadium projects with taxpayer money.
The threat in the marketplace is that if your facility runs down, you run the risk of losing your team.
The Buffalo Bills are a good example, with the threat of moving to Toronto.
Buffalo would ultimately be Canada's first NFL team. I think if you don't build a facility in a place like Buffalo, then you're going to lose your team.
That threat spans all major sports.
You want to have this debate?
Just last week, the Cincinnati Reds owner landing a few jabs at his city and fans.
What would you do with this team to have it be more profitable, make more money, compete more in the current economic system that this game exists? Mm-hmm. It would be to pick it up and move it somewhere else. Yeah. And so be careful what you ask for.
He then doubled down when fans got mad.
Are you going to abandon being a Reds fan? Are you going to abandon following this team? We haven't abandoned it.
I don't think Denver is that place. Denver is an economically vibrant place. We've added 1 million people in the last 10 or 15 years.
Existing facilities, especially if they're in a really good location, have a lot of value to them.
Could the new owner stomp his feet and say, oh really, I'll take the team elsewhere? And you think that it could never happen, especially in a place like Denver where the Broncos have been such a pillar or a quote-unquote blue blood organization that has won Super Bowls and had real success. To think that it is impossible is probably a little bit naive.
And finally, there's an off chance a new stadium could be built somewhere other than downtown, DIA for example, but most experts agree that's a long shot.
You're going to create a lot of transportation problems.
I think it would be easier to build the stadium in the parking lot, which has happened dozens of times across the country.
We're really, really lucky to be right across the street.
Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Oh boy, so what do you think? Is it time to replace Empower Field at Mile High? You can join the conversation right now on the Denver 7 Facebook page, or you can always email us 360@thedenverchannel.com.